Here we are.
Hello, everybody. This is Sean Baker. I'm the writer and director, producer, editor of Anora. We are so happy to be part of the Criterion Collection, and we're here recording a commentary today. It's January 8th, 2025. Wow. I'm sitting next to Mikey Madison. Hello, Mikey.
Hi.
And Karin Karagulian. Hello, Karin.
Hi.
And this will be very interesting because I haven't watched the film in maybe, how long ago was May? 7 months, 8 months ago?
Yeah, I haven't seen it since Cannes, so this will be the third time.
Same here. Yeah, I haven't seen. Last time I saw it was we were together at Cannes.
Wow.
And here we are. I love the intro. It's one of my favorite parts of the film.
It was fun shooting. We did it, how many takes? I think we did about 12 takes with 2 different songs, not this song, actually. We thought we were going to be going with 2 other humongous pop songs, and you guys danced to those 2 other songs.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, I always wanted to ask you, who are these people? These are actors, or who are these people sitting that the girls are dancing for?
They were dancers.
No, I know the dancers, but the guys.
Oh, the guys were background casting.
But I heard you had all your friends come in and...
There were some cameos from my previous films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so when we filmed this, you say that we only did 10 takes, but it felt more like 20, I think, because of all the rehearsal we had to do. I remember that I was grinding so hard on that guy's slacks that I had like red marks on my butt. Like raw red marks on my butt, because we had to do it 2 times faster than we normally would,
right,
so that the slow-mo would look good.
Yeah, we shot it at 48 frames a second. And so then when you project at 24 frames a second, everything is slow motion. But that meant that the dancers had to be grinding at double the speed. They had to be and we had to have the music playing at double speed in the room. So it was actually quite comical to see you guys grinding to... Greatest day.
You waiting for someone else? Are you sure? Hello. Hi, how are you?
Hello?
Hi.
And all of this is completely improvised. I remember this guy. He was funny.
Quite lovely.
Sit right there, okay?
Yeah, we shot a lot, knowing that this whole beginning would be cut up in a docu-style montage. That's Fred Berman. He was actually, he's the first of the cameos from one of my previous films. He was Art in 4-letter words, my first feature.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll just sit right next to you right here.
From like almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, pretty serious.
Yeah.
A lot of work, but
Hard work right now.
chill out and it,
This was such an amazing sequence to shoot because on the floor there, we essentially set up that club so that it was basically up and running. We had music playing, blasting. Our producer, Alex Coco, was in the DJ booth, blasting songs that we had pre-cleared so that we could use the location's sound recording. And you, Mikey, were essentially, you had a wireless mic on and an earpiece, like a little earbud or whatever they call them.
I had an earpiece, which I think we didn't anticipate how loud the club would be, and so it would work sometimes. Sometimes I could hear you whispering in my ear, and sometimes the music and the atmosphere was so loud I couldn't, but it was a really interesting filming experience.
Yeah, and
this is improvised as well.
This is improvised, yes. And we ran a whole 10-minute mag on this. So
I think I was crying in laughter during the filming of this.
It sounds like a real hoe. No, but you're manifesting with those. He said I looked like his 18-year-old daughter.
There was a security guard that we were riffing with who was hilarious, who I don't think it's in the film anymore, but this was fun. And I think I bonded with Luna a lot during this scene, and this is one of the first she shot. I remember she said to me afterwards, "Oh, I could do this forever."
Yeah, and through your improv, you got some important exposition out, which that's what I love about so much of your improv in the film, is that you were always sticking to the information that we had to get out to the audience. So in that little bit, it talks about what a night is like with you two. You're talking about the clients that you've already provided dances to, and you bring up the butterfly nail, right? Which is very important. In Russian, night butterfly means prostitute, right, Karin?
Yes.
It's an old school term, right?
Yeah, an old school term. And I was talking to the Russian actors about that term, and they were like, "Nah, nobody uses it anymore." But now I see later it's coming back.
Okay. And well, that's essentially why we had Alexei Serbakov. He's the only one who uses the actual term, being that it's more old school. So here we are in the locker room, and that's Vincent Radwinski playing Jimmy. He's also from one of my previous films. He was in Four Letter Words. He plays Alex. And then we had Brittany Rodriguez, who played June in Red Rocket.
Wow. I was with Vincent in this scene 29 years ago.
Yes.
At the gas station.
Eddie, make me proud. Yeah.
My name is Mark Eisenstein, and my character in Anora is Ivan. Right now, I'm in St. Petersburg. I'm doing another feature movie, and I still feel the energy of this movie, and I feel how this energy is, how can I say it, collecting smiles of different people in different points of the world, and it makes me happy.
Sean, do we give a shout out to the location, Amazing HQ?
Oh, yeah. This wonderful club. There are two clubs, one on top of another. We fictionalized it and made it all one. It's definitely a fictionalized, let's just make that very clear. This is a fictionalized look at this club, a take on this actual club that exists on the west side of Manhattan, Upper West Side near Javits Center.
Yes, but I do want to mention that all of the dancers that are shown in the club in this film are all real dancers that Sean and Sammy Kwan scouted from other clubs, other locations, and we were all together shooting in this club. So it felt for me realistic to be surrounded by all these amazing women.
Yeah, and you spent a lot of time there shadowing the dancers, and we just...
I did. I'd been to this club a handful of times before to shadow dancers, like you said, and just get to know the atmosphere, the locations.
And Ross Broder, our incredible location manager, found us this club. Now, we were looking at all of them throughout Manhattan, and a lot of them are the traditional ones, the old, what you think of when you think of a strip club, the stage and the pole. But we wanted something different, and I've never seen a lap dance club portrayed in film and TV before, so that really excited me. When he brought this location to me, I was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer.
The interesting thing about this club is that the lap dance rooms are upstairs.
There's some in back on the side as well.
Yeah, I know, but they have that upstairs location, which is amazing. It's like a whole another club upstairs with like separate private rooms and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So there are two clubs, basically, two different entities. They're attached, but
I see.
They're two different. Yeah.
So if you go there tonight, you won't be able to go to the second floor through the first floor?
I think it's two separate entrances, and the girls from downstairs don't go upstairs and vice versa.
It. Uh-huh.
Where are you going?
No, I'm not going anywhere.
When we were shooting this shot, I remember thinking Kieslowski's Red.
Hands under your legs.
Or Rouge. When you blow the bubble,
yeah.
When you blow the bubble, it looks almost exactly like a still.
I was like, I need blue bubblegum. Someone, please get this for me. And there was like a mad dash across New York to get me blue bubblegum.
There you go, right there.
I'm very proud of that bubble.
Yeah, that's
Also, Mark did not know that I was doing an accent in this film.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy to me.
Like months in, we were almost done filming, and we took a break in between production and we were rehearsing a scene. He was like, "What is that voice you're doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean? This is my character's accent." He was like, "You're doing an accent?"
That's so strange to me because we were hanging out after work and all, and you didn't retain that accent every night.
No, I did not.
No, but when English is your second language, especially for somebody like Mark who just learned the language recently, it's hard to recognize accents.
So funny.
Okay, I do really like this sequence because you just see Annie at the club doing her work, and now you see her completely stripped back in normal clothes, no makeup, vaping, walking back to her house, and it's interesting to see those two sides of her.
Yes. There's a very
Is that a poll?
subtle part. Yeah, that's a subtle
That's
prop
my
in
poll,
there
by the way.
to say that Annie, takes her work seriously and she practices at home.
No.
And I didn't pick up the fucking note.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, I smoked so many cigarettes in this film.
Okay, now we're in Mill Basin at our prime location.
And this blue dress that I'm wearing is the costume designer assistant's prom dress.
Yes.
And
And that's Ross
kept it.
Broder, by the way, location manager, playing the security guard. Yeah, the wardrobe in this film, amazing.
And let's give a shout
Gotham
out to this
Pierce.
amazing mansion, or one of the biggest characters of this film.
Yes. And now that's a little subtle, risky business nod there. I don't think I was thinking that until Mark was sliding all over the floor. And I said, that looks a lot like Tom Cruise in Risky Business.
And it's such a wonderful, childish
Little action there.
that he's putting in. It's brilliant. Also, just a moment of appreciation for the hair tinsel. I'm really noticing, watching the film now, how the light is reflecting off of it. I think it's such a good choice.
Yeah, that was a dream come true. I mean, for Justine Sarakowski, when she brought us, who is our hairstylist on the film, when she posed this, I hadn't seen it before, but I heard it's from one of the housewives of one of those places.
I had a couple strands put in when I was maybe in elementary school. It was popular back then, but it's...
I love it because it basically allows little pops of color and light in every frame of the film. Every time we see Annie, every time you move your head, we get a little glint.
Bedrooms, upstairs. Let's go.
Okay.
This was
I think this
Mark's
was one of the
little
first
improvisation right there. The way
shots.
he
Yeah.
ran up the stairs and waited for you there.
They didn't make my bed yet, сука, это же сложно. Прости.
So that's looking out to the belt. So should we talk about the backflip? I know that
Talk
Mark
about
and
it
Yura
enough.
will be talking on this commentary, but essentially Mark pitched us this. He goes, I want to do a backflip to get me into position on the bed. And I said, yeah, sure. That sounds great. But we rehearsed it with the boxers on. And so it was funny, but it wasn't that. And then suddenly we did our first take and and we get that. And it was just so funny, so fun. And it really also just set up his character so much. So like this very playful, youthful guy.
He's such a gutsy actor. It's
Yeah.
one of the things I love about him.
So the scene with the backflip, it was our third shooting day. And when I suggested to Sean this backflip, he was like very happy and he said, okay, so we found it. It's that energy. It's energy of this guy. It's energy of this boy, rebellious, like strange, weird, stupid, but also funny person. is that energy. So we have to find in every his line, in every scene, this type of vibrations. Okay? And I was like, so man, it's just a backflip. What do you mean? And he said, we will do it. Okay, we will do it. We already catch it. We have to, remember it. Okay? And I said, uh-huh. Okay. And we tried to, in every scene find it.
It's very direct. The stab rig.
Oh,
Oh
the
my gosh.
dab rig.
That was brutal. It would give me the craziest. It was all obviously fake, but still give me a crazy head rush.
I think it was CBD. I think you were smoking CBD.
And destroyed my throat.
Well,
but
it's very tough, really rough, harsh.
it's like I haven't done this since I was 18.
I actually bought a dab rig after production. So I was like, okay, this is going to be my new thing. But no, it's rough. It's harsh on the throat. And
Oh, yeah. Even Yura, who is like the chain smoker, was like, this is brutal.
Yeah. It's basically a way of smoking weed that makes you way more inebriated.
It was a difficult prop to work with.
Yeah.
I know. So funny. What?
I don't know. You're funny.
Funny, cool, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Really funny, cool.
What I really love about this scene is also how Annie is really trying to read him.
Mm.
You can see that it's that's what she does every night. She has to approach these men and read them and see who they are.
And I think he's definitely why I had imagined the youngest client she's ever had, and clearly very wealthy. And so I think this entire situation is very intriguing to her.
Yeah.
He's so charming and kind as well.
Really?
No, but I'm really big gun dealer.
And she's genuinely charmed. You can see that. The way that you put your hand up to your mouth and you laughed there, that was like you were genuinely amused, which I love.
It was a big challenge to play Ivan for me. Usually I'm playing, romantic guys with a curly types of hairstyle. Yeah, it's a protagonist usually. But Ivan is antagonist, and it was a big challenge. And I thought a lot, and it was very scary. But we discussed everything with Sean, and we thought about his pain, about his dreams. And it's my base because it's Moscow Art Theater School. And every time in Moscow Art Theater School, they said that you have to find his pain and his dream and draw his journey. And with Sean, we did this journey, and we did this 3 different types of Ivan. First Ivan that are trying to, catch every moment, celebrate every second. Why? Because it's compensation. Because you know that in one moment it will be finished. It's maybe every day can be last day of his life. And his dream to find a home. And what is a home? It will be difficult, but I want to tell you about it. I'm proud of this journey because we really spent a lot of time in discussing this with Sean. Home is not a place. Home it's a people, and usually it's family. But Ivan have no love with his family because his home is his love. So he tried to find love, and in Anora, he find love in one moment. But what's more difficult than find love? Save love. And it was the game, how to save love, and he lost this game. And maybe after a movie, he will be fine, but he will, come back to this moment forever.
All right. So with this one, let's get to this because we got to talk about this. Yeah.
So I helped choreograph this with my amazing dance instructor, and who taught me twerk, all of this floor work that I had been training for so long. And then I was trying to find a song for this, and I sent Sean this song, which one of the housewives, Erica Jane, I think, actually is credited on. And I was like, is this amazing? Is this too obnoxious? And Sean was like, no, this is perfect. And those are my personal boots as well, and my skirt that I used to practice dancing. So they're really nice and worn in, which is great. Adds something to the costume.
Yeah. Quite honestly, I thought this scene was going to be, 10 seconds?
Yeah, and then I presented this dance to Sean and showed him and Sammy during like maybe the night before, and they were like, "Oh, we have to make a music video out of this."
Yeah, when we saw the video that you did and the dance that you choreographed, we knew that it had to be more than just 10 seconds. It had to be a set piece. And Drew and I decided to really lean into it and shoot it like a music video, sort of leaning into the male gaze, being the fact that that's what you're doing there. You're seducing Yvonne, and we're sort of seeing that moment through his eyes and really leaning into it. We shot it at the right time in the afternoons that the light was blasting through those windows and blaring out on those beautiful Lomo lenses at the end. It really gives it an ethereal feel. And I love it. I love it. And then this scene is just really charming between you two.
Yeah, I remember when we filmed this scene. After a take, Mark goes, "Your boobs are something amazing."
Who said?
Your boobs.
I have a question about the tattoos. You know those tattoos on the back of your legs, the butterflies? Looks amazing. Whose idea was
The little
that?
bows.
Oh, yeah,
Those
that
are
was-
Sean's idea.
Yeah, because it's a staple, you know. I see it on a lot of dancers, let's say that.
Oh.
Well, also it's when you twerk or when your legs move, it kind of it pronounces that,
Yes,
and
definitely.
you see
It
it.
looks
yeah.
great. Looks great, yeah.
So we shot New Year's Eve over the course of one night.
I love that
And-
Luna's in a different wig for
Yes.
every single scene. Sorry to interrupt. Luna Sophia Miranda plays Lulu in the film, Annie's best friend, and she brought such energy and sort of like an innocence to her character, this vivaciousness. I loved improvising with her.
We always talked about Mark being
Mark looked
great
great
Gatsby here. Very great Gatsby.
Vanichka.
Our wonderful production designer, Stephen Phelps, pitched this ice sculpture to me. It's just a bust, essentially.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I said, of course I need this. And our introduction to Vlad and Anton and Maria.
Vlad and Anton and Maria. So amazing.
I want to do a shout out to
Anton makes grills for a living. His name
yeah.
is Anton Grills. He legally changed his name to Anton Grills. It's pretty cool.
So this is a moment where I think has a bigger impact on the second viewing, where people are like, oh yeah, they were there the whole time, weren't they? The babysitters, the Armenian babysitters. Oh, Mikey, I love this moment so much where you get flustered doing the countdown, because it shows that you are genuinely distracted by your interest in possibly in Yvonne. You know what I mean? And I think it's really, again, it's showing that it's not entirely business here. There's a gray area. Okay, so that's Ivy Woke. We're introducing her character there, Crystal. And there was a longer intro to her, actually. We had to cut the scene due to time, but there was a funny little moment there where Crystal tries to climb all over Yvonne, and Yvonne essentially disses her in order to get and uses the Annie character to be like, oh, I'm with her tonight. And that's what brings Yvonne and Annie together right there on the couch. But yeah, due to time, we had to cut the scene. And I love that Luna's in the background doing selfies.
I have a bunch of selfies of her and me on my phone.
I have holiday rain.
find his physics, find his body was very interesting. And we had to find this language of Ivan's body. In one moment, we just understood that it's like, so this big mansion and one young guy, he's alone there. Like he's a kid in Coney Island, and you're alone in Coney Island. He can do everything he wants, but he's alone. And it's scary. And when you are alone, you are trying to, fulfill all the free space, free rooms. You're like a very fast and very like childish because you are alone. Nobody see you. You can do everything. It's like sing songs in the shower. He can do everything he wants, but he's like kid in the body of adult man. Yeah, and it was about physics, and also in the sex scene, it's not romantic, serious, slow sex scenes. No, it's a boy. It's not a man, and it was an important part of building the character, and it was a nice challenge to find the specific in his body.
To do okay, but text me if you want to see me again. Yeah.
What? No. I have one question.
Now, this scene, obviously, people have brought up that it has similarities to Pretty Woman in the dialogue, in the negotiation. I honestly did not think about the parallels until a week into production when it was actually Samantha Kwan, my partner, who kind of called it out. She goes, that dialogue is similar. And I haven't seen Pretty Woman since 1990. So it must have just been in there in my head somewhere. But it also makes sense. I mean, the beginning of the film is supposed to sort of lean into the fantasy, into the Hollywood version of this story. The whole beginning is essentially like an abridged rom-com to a certain degree. And so the dialogue has to be fun, and it has to be, and the back and forth has to engage the audience and have them really believing in this relationship. And so, yeah, I guess it just makes sense that I would write the scene this way, in a very similar way to, the way that the scene would be written in Pretty Woman or a Hollywood version of it.
Oh my gosh, these doors were so heavy. And it was freezing outside.
Yep, we did shoot in the winter, January, February, March 2022, right?
Mm-hmm. 4 or 5 months of practicing for this.
Wow. Oh yeah, so here you go. There's you did a tremendous amount of work.
Thank you.
And that was amazing.
5 months to make that look effortless. Worth it. My dance instructor, her name is Kennedy Schneider. She's an incredible dancer based in Los Angeles.
We also used that scene to establish this room that we'll eventually find Yvonne in.
Oh, sweet Sunny. I loved her.
Yeah, Sunny is providing the first image of the movie. It's her derriere that we see.
Amazing booty.
In the opening credit sequence.
Can that work?
Well, none of that's gonna happen. So,
Shocker.
bye.
I'll be back on.
Okay, so that's Ella Rubin playing Annie's sister, and there was a little more to her character, not only in the screenplay, but we actually shot some additional stuff that just didn't make it into the film because of running time.
She was supposed to be my mother at first, right? And then we changed it eventually.
Oh, the character.
Yeah.
Yes. But then we found Ella, and you two look very similar. Yeah. And she's hilarious. And yeah, there's a whole other scene in which she's really questioning Annie's decision.
It's a champagne glass
gotten married
of my fucking mother, and it will be your champagne glass.
This stuff was obviously very improvised because I really wanted to just capture the partying. So for example, Mikey, I think we rolled like probably 10 minutes on that, right?
Yeah, we
Just you
did.
hanging, smoking, drinking, right?
And I think Anton actually like squeezed lemon juice in his eyes at
Oh
one
my
point.
God. Yeah, I asked Anton to do sort of a jackass move where he took lemon and squeezed it in his eyes. Oh boy. And he did it like 3 times, 3 different takes. It didn't even make it in the film.
It was awesome.
I'm a very bad game player. My brother is a game player, and when last times and only times when I played video games, it was with my young brother. And when I asked him to give me controller, it was, for example, some game when you have to fight, and they just did like this, push all the buttons in 1 second. Yeah, and he every time said, "No, you can't do like this. It doesn't work. It's a science. Video game is a science. You have to know that now you have to push this button, and now this, and then this. No, it doesn't." But I won. You know, when I pushed all the buttons, I won him. He immediately called me after watching Anora and said like, "Why you played like this? Are you stupid? Count Baker, it's a documentary movie. You believe in every second. You break his movie. You ruined it. Mark, are you stupid? Why you did like this? We know how to play video games. Why?" And I said, "It's for you, man." And he said, "No way. You just fucked up the movie, man." But I was very happy.
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah, Billy is, that's his real name. And
Ivy.
he works part-time at that shop. And he was there that day. And I said, we are most definitely working him into this film. He's wonderful.
Oh, this shot is so beautiful, running through the seagulls. And I love this because you see Annie like kind of being a kid with them. And
Yeah.
the lines are becoming blurred for her as well. Oh, this woman was
What do you call
boss.
the people who swim in cold water in the winters? What's the English term for that?
Polar bears.
Polar bears.
Psychopaths.
That scene was a lot longer. There was another moment in which there's a little back and forth between Ivy, who plays Crystal, and Annie when they're just watching the guys kind of goof off down the beach. And it kind of gives a little more of a background about how Annie came over with her parents when she was her mother when she was 3. But that Crystal was Russian but American born. So this is another one of those scenes where, yes, it's scripted, but at the same time, we sort of just like let you guys just party and talk about anything. And we just knew we had to get to a place where Vegas was pitched. Like, let's go to Vegas. So it was about how we get there. And eventually we landed on the ketamine, which Maria then says, the best ketamine I've ever had was in Vegas, which prompts Mark to say, let's go. But that's a great example of just like a collaborative moment where we were all riffing and trying to find our way to dropping the Vegas stuff. This is Charles Jang.
I love him.
Who
He's
is
great.
the lead from Takeout, which is my second film that I co-directed with Xixing Zhou, which is also in the Criterion Collection.
Charles is amazing.
Yes. There's a beautiful suite at the Palm.
Oh, it was an epic.
And the Palms is wonderful because it's off the Strip. But what it does is that it gives you a view of the Strip. So when you're looking out of the windows, you're looking towards all the lights of Vegas. It's very visual.
You claimed this room.
I claimed your mom.
That was improvised.
I remember they're like, Mikey, try not to get your hair wet in this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It was our mission when we tried to build this character, how to be rich and how to have rich stuff, rich clothes, but not to be like, he doesn't like his money. He's not in love with his money. And it has to be, anti-fashion, but not serious, because he's not serious in this. Yeah, and we tried to find all these outfits in this way. So it's very expensive, but it's not serious. And it can be any type of designer, not only very expensive designers. Yeah, and it's something about Ivan and money, how Ivan and money are communicating. So he's using money, but not in serious.
So this is kind of just hopefully subtly establishing the fact that these two are having problems. And that's why later on, when we're at Tatiana's, she goes, Vlad mentions that she's off with her new sugar daddy.
And I don't know, fuck, you're the best guy. Yeah. Fucking.
Okay. I have to say that when I'm wearing that, it's like a Paco Rabanne inspired dress with these heavy little silver discs, Mark picks me up in that shot and starts running. And I think, okay, well, that's not a good idea because Marcus has, I think I'm a little bigger than him, and he drops me. He tripped over something, drops me, lands on me. I land on his arm. I think, oh my God, I just broke Mark's little arm. And then I think, oh no, I just like broke my hip or something. So there's just like carpet over concrete at that casino, and it makes this sound that like echoes through the building.
Yeah.
And the wind is knocked out of me, and I get up. I have a photo of it, but it's like a bloody grid mark from the Paco Rabanne dress marked onto my ass of how hard. No, not still. No, afterwards. And we had to like try to cover it with makeup, but that was brutal. I even had like a fever that night. I think it was because I fell so hard, but that was insane.
Yeah,
now
that was
funny,
very,
but then
very
I was like,
scary, actually.
That was
because
insane.
I heard the thud. I wasn't right there. I was running with the monitor watching you guys. You guys were on the other side of some of those machines.
You see it start to fall for a second.
Yeah, and so actually, the very tail end of that shot, you see Vlad's mouth open up and he's like, oh my God, that's him reacting to them falling. And it could have been a lot worse. So, oh God, thank God that nothing happened.
No, it's okay. It's just crazy. I'll show you a photo after this.
I love this sequence. I love your performance. I love Mark's performance. And that's why I just wanted to hold on this in a one shot. We rehearsed this many times, and this room at the Palms has this wonderful circular bed. So it allowed for us to dolly around it in a circular fashion, which would eventually get us to this shot looking out over onto the Vegas lights.
Asshole. I improvised that.
Yes, you improvised Little Wifey, and Mark improvised Twicely, which I think is just so wonderful. But everything else was very tightly scripted, except for actually the moment a little bit earlier. I mean, in the scene, very tightly scripted in terms of the dialogue, because obviously there was timing involved, and there was all the exposition we had to get out. But there was a moment earlier where you said, oh, that's why you're splashing out. And Mark says, no, I always party this way. And then you said, I love it. And I love that little bit of improv. I think is so important because it shows again that this isn't all business. Like, she is actually intrigued by this guy's life and his lifestyle to her.
Yeah, and she's in love with the lifestyle and the idea of being with him. There's so much that she falls in love with the fairy tale and this adventure that they have together. And, she's welcomed into his world in such a grand, romantic way. And so I think she absolutely sees the possibility of love. And up until the marriage falls apart, he's been nothing but charming and playful and fun and sweet. And I think that really disarms her. And she certainly expects something different than what happens.
And this is Fremont Street, and we
This is
crashed
hilarious.
Fremont Street. We actually had permission to shoot on Fremont Street, and we actually had the management put up the fireworks video on the ceiling because we could have our choice of what was being projected on the ceiling. But besides that, we were basically just crashing and running and gunning and interacting with real tourists and real all-Americans.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually went on a little bit longer because we had you guys flying home from Vegas, and we actually shot a scene on the plane where everybody's asleep except for Annie, and she pulls down the window so that the sun is in Yvonne's face as he's sleeping to show that she's starting to care for Yvonne. Cut that again for time. But we got just right back into the club here. And this was a last minute decision to add the Disney reference, right?
Cinderella. Yes.
It was kind of workshopped that day.
Uh-huh.
And everybody thought it would just be nice as a nod to Florida Project, obviously.
Caught you, Will? Seems I did.
I actually felt I was gonna throw up during this scene because I hate confrontation with other women. And it was just like the idea of fighting with Lindsay, and we were throwing insults at each other that were improvised was like absolutely nauseating to me.
Yeah. Shout out to Alex Coco, one of our producers and incredible guy and friend. And he was the one who proposed the kiss. Because remember, originally there was actually like a push or a slap or something like that. That would be totally out of character for Annie. And then
it was like a head smash into something.
It was
like
violent.
a little bit.
Yeah. And it was Alex who said, no, just do that MMA kissing thing they do to taunt one another.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our marital bliss montage. We actually shot a lot more here. And every shot that Drew shot was beautiful. Everything you guys did and all the scenes, so beautiful. But because of time, we had to cut it down. And because of it all had to cut to this song, we had to lose a lot. But we had a lot of beautiful imagery. We had you guys on the boardwalk walking into the sunset. We had another funny sex scene where you guys are having sex against a bookshelf and you see the picture of the parents looking at you, sort of thing. But we always knew the sequence would end with the helicopter shot and sort of pull us out into a living happily ever after moment before we smash cut to you, Karen.
Yeah, here we are, Karen.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
I want to start off saying that this church, I have baptized 3 times, 3 little kids wearing the same gown, standing in the same corner, and being a godfather to 3 other kids in real life. This is a church in Douglaston, I think, in Queens, right? Sure.
Yeah, Queens. Supposed to be around Gravesend, Brooklyn. So it's a geographical cheat.
So I remember when we were looking around for a location, we were considering 2 churches. So I was with you guys going to those churches, and I told Pris, I said, going to be a good movie, but I'm warning you, there's going to be sex in there. So
This was a scene I was pretty nervous about because there was quite a bit of Russian dialogue and spent many months trying to understand exactly what I was saying. It's a very complex language.
Yeah, and you worked with Albert Rudnitsky, who was our script supervisor, really closely, right? Albert took the first pass on my screenplay because obviously I don't know Russian, and so all of my English dialogue had to be translated to Russian. He took the first swing at it, and then of course Karen, you and Vache and Ira and Mark were involved with tweaking it and making sure that, the inflections were right, the meaning of all the dialogue was retained in the translation. And I basically really relied on you guys. And now that we're getting feedback from around the world, Russian speakers, Armenian speakers who are saying that the dialogue is completely flowing and works, and all the slang is up to date. Well, thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah.
That's like one of the most important feedbacks that I get. People saying that feels so real.
Ну, если ты захочешь поехать в Miami.
And Mikey, you had several pages of Russian dialogue here, didn't you?
Wow. Я знаю, она поется. Она любит русский мальчиков.
And what did they say about your accent?
They said it was very childlike.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens with
And cute, yeah.
like first generation. It's not your native language, but it's your language that you've learned from family members, and you're not entirely fluent.
We speak a lot of Russian at home, but for example, Mikey here speaks better than my 16-year-old daughter does.
That's interesting.
Okay.
And now we're introduced to Igor.
Yes. Yura wanted to wear his hoodie in this shot and have the hoodie come down when he's sort of disarming himself in front of Annie later on in the house. And that was the first time we were going to reveal, be able to really visibly see his face and who he is. But this shot wouldn't have worked with the hoodie because it was so dark.
My name is Yura Borisov, and I play Igor in this film. So right now I'm in Moscow and very happy that we are recording this. It was beautiful day today, for example. It was lots of sun. It's rare in Moscow in January. John was casting direct by himself. He personally contacting all actors and suggest to them who work together. That's why it was, I don't know, it was like a couple days when I just arrived to America and started this shooting. Now I can say that I don't need preparation for his films because we can just meet each other and start dancing, and you don't need preparation for dancing, right?
I'm Vache Tovmasyan, actor slash comedian from Armenia. When Sean Baker called me, I was thinking it's a joke. Maybe my friend's doing that to me, because he's like, "Hey man, I've seen your comedy. That's hilarious." And whatever I was doing before, it was in Armenian for Armenians, and like, why would you watch that? And how you seen me? And then he said, like, Karen Karagulian suggested you. And during the conversation, I start browsing Karen Karagulian, and I see he's an actor, legit actor. And then I start browsing him on social media, and I saw that he texted me like 5 years before that, and I didn't even reply. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I was about to screw it over. And I texted Karen back like, hey man, sorry for slight delay after 5 years. And he responded. And only thanks to that incredible actor, I become a part of this magic which called Anora.
Ты женился на какой-то проститутке?
Vache is already showing his comic chops here. Even the way he does when he says prostituki, the way it goes up. Prostituki! Vache is one of Armenia's top comedians. And yet, we were very aware of the balance of seriousness and comedy right here, because, to Annie, this is extremely serious. She has no idea what's happening. This is essentially a home invasion.
Where is the marriage paper?
But then we're also trying to get our little laughs here and there.
Should I go with you?
Through like little, through like Garnick's delivery of certain lines here and this awkward little meet cute we have going on. I love your eye movements there. Your eye movements are amazing.
Watch his faces.
Yeah, this is where he wanted to reveal himself for the first time by pulling the hood down. The hoodie down.
This was the first scene I shot with him.
Oh.
I mean, good.
Congratulations.
You improvised his dialogue there, and we were like, well, that's great. We have to get the reverse shot now.
Really? All of it?
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations is in the script.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think there may have been some other stuff.
Фотосвидетельство, если таковая есть. Я в ахуе. Родители? Хорош. Вы ёбнулись?
That lady standing next to me who plays my wife is my real wife in real life.
Yes.
Lana,
Lana's
she's great.
fiancée.
She is so great.
Beautiful, Lana.
Watch her face here. She's like, she knows.
No.
Her face is, if you look at Lana's face, it's like, oh, Torres does stuff like this all the time. I wanted to show the distance between you two there. And that's why we went for that wide. And eventually get you guys closer and closer together throughout the film. The mirrors actually really helped. It really helped because even though, yes, they made it a little difficult, sometimes I think even in a shot or two, we had to erase a crew member. But the mirrors also gave us just so much depth and allowed us to show characters or the reflections of some of our characters and fill up the frames. Those are the two priests. Those are the actual priests at the church.
I was really amazed how much work John Baker has done, understanding that community, like involving the Russian and Armenians in it. But I'm not gonna lie, during the process, it was becoming more and more funnier and more interesting for me. Yeah, I like the script, but it was being changed a lot. That's what I like working with Sean Baker, because he was adjusting so many things during the process. Maybe you can see him like next day coming back, he lost another couple of pounds of weight, and then all night he was rewriting things, and now it feels better. And he gives us so much freedom, like to improvise, to try things, especially in our languages. And he was very, very open for suggestions as well. He's like, what do you think your character would say here? And I was like, I think this. And for me as a comedian and as an author, that was a paradise. But he was very picky and selective also, like, no, I want you to tell this. And even after, during the post-production, I was getting so many voice messages. Hey, Vache, what exactly are you saying here in Russian? What exactly are you saying here in Armenian? Oh, that's great. Oh, this is not going to work. And so yeah, that was a pure joy working with him.
That zoom and that line that you have as you exit the church was one of the early ideas in the film. Meaning that I that was a moment that was very early on in the inception of this film. I just pictured you saying that awful thing coming out of a church and then me doing a 70s style zoom into it. And we had these vintage Lomo lenses, which are Russian lenses. And we found a very, very rare anamorphic zoom. So I'm sure the other commentary track will talk more about the technical stuff. But yeah, it was a pleasure to work with these amazing lenses. And this stuff was obviously scripted, but finding the actual moments in which we'd be intercutting between, that was obviously found in post, because we drove around the city with you, Karin, right? Up and down Stillwell Avenue, around that area, and just, they weren't on the other line, were they?
What do you mean?
When we were shooting this stuff with you, your solo stuff in the car.
No, but he was on the line for me.
Yeah.
This scene, I'm upstairs on the phone with you guys.
Yes, but in the car,
in the reverse,
we were basically just.
I was on my own.
You're on your own, and we were just basically just reading off the different lines that you had to say.
Yeah, you're in the trunk. Sammy was in the back also. Samantha Kwan.
And we shot that before we shot the matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this.
I think Mark is laughing in the corner there, by the way, because he's covered.
That was improvised right there, right?
Yeah.
That was improvised. I mean, we knew you were going to be screaming motherfuckers into that foam, but the way you did it was so perfect.
I know. Karin was like, well, if you insult my mother in our Armenian culture, like, that's really, really bad. You just can't say that. And I was like, great, I'm going to say that as much as I possibly can.
Can you get the fuck away from me, please? Where are we going, Ivan?
Oh my goodness. Mark is just naturally thin and very tall and lanky. And I remember him talking about it, and he was like, well, if I was much bigger than this, I don't think I could play this character. And there's sort of a childishness to the way that Mark, even just as himself, sort of uses his limbs and flails around. He's kind of like a baby deer at times. And so I think he brought a lot of that into his character. And it's great to see, because his character is still a boy, not yet a man. And so even though his character is technically an adult, you get to see that through his brilliant physicality.
Out of my way!
And so that ice was fake, that Stephen Phelps, production designer, made. We had to put an obstacle in Garnick's way so that Ivan could actually get away. That was the ice slip. And we just also wanted to start abusing Garnick. And that was the first of the abuse. Okay, so wow, you want to talk about this? Yeah, go to town.
No, I grabbed the menorah, which I love.
Fucking dare you take...
Yeah, I mean, this is improvised too, some of the yelling at each other.
But the blocking was very calculated.
Very,
obviously.
yes. I mean, we did all of our own stunts, and so.
And this was the shot when I was behind the monitor watching this go down. My jaw was dropped. I was like, oh my God. So because when we rehearsed it, you guys were doing a quarter speed, and obviously nothing was breaking.
We didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
And Sean, you were like, can you please, I would love it if you knocked that vase over. And I was like, I'm going to knock the vase over.
Yeah. And somehow you blindly punted that vase perfectly.
Yeah.
I was kicking for it. Oh God, this scene was brutal.
In the original script, because Annie punches Eager in the face, we had Eager try to take your ring off, right? Or take your ring off. And it was Yura and I talked a lot about it, and we thought, no, he wouldn't do that. Number one, and it will definitely paint him in a different way if he physically tries to.
And that was Yura's idea also for us to be in that kind of doggy position when he comes in. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Oh, really?
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, Yura's amazing. Brought so much. Knowing that he didn't have a lot of dialogue in the film, but obviously we know what happens eventually with his character and how to keep him present all the time.
We started to do the scene, and I had to, not me, but Igor had to take off this ring, and I feel that I was feeling that it's not a good way for him because he's already understanding that he's not right here, and Garnick is not right here. He absolutely don't understand who is he, and he's trying to understand. But he looked to this guy Taurus and starting to understand that he's not right here too. He's already did a lot of not good stuff, a lot of bad things in his life, and I really felt that it's not right thing for him to take off your ring. I suggested it to Sean to Taurus take it off, and after that Igor stole it.
We scheduled for 6 days. I think after the second day, I told Alex Coco, I said we're gonna have to add 2 days, and it eventually took 8.
Yeah, and the fuck your boss. That part, Sean and I were about to shoot that, and we were like, okay, what does she say? What does she say? And we were kind of throwing a couple things out. We look at each other, we point at each other, we go, fuck your boss. High-fived, and then shot the scene.
Yep.
So that was fun.
Yeah. I'm glad I broke your fucking nose.
You fucking bitch! You broke my nose.
A moment of true synchronicity.
Yeah.
Tiny motherfucker.
And this is there again to remind the audience, Tauros is still on the line and probably hearing a lot of this, but not being able to make out exactly what's going on. Oh, and then originally, there was, at first we thought he's going to put ice on his face, but we wanted to make it obviously, we wanted him to put it in the world of Anora. So we came up with the bag of Russian dumplings.
Yeah.
Yura Borisov is an incredible actor who I first saw in Juho Kusmasen's Compartment Number 6. It was actually playing at Cannes the year I was there with Red Rocket, and I had already started kind of in my mind developing Anora and knowing there was going to be this heavy character who eventually became Igor. So he was one of the 3 who was basically pre-cast for this movie.
Where are you?
Open the gate. Okay, sir, but I've been...
Oh, can you tell us the origin of that line? That donkey fucker line?
So we were talking about what to say there.
Yeah.
So I recorded something, gave it to Sean, and I remember he put it in, and then he had to consult Vacha. Vacha came and said, no, that's not good. So Sean reached out, and I just went on. Anyway, that means a donkey fucker.
So it's basically calling him like a hick or something like that.
Yeah, it's a term that they call those village shepherds.
Yeah. Okay.
What happened here?
She happened.
Hey, mister. Can you fucking tell this guy I don't want timing?
Yeah, she did this.
Hello?
Where's Ivan?
Ivan ran away.
I wanted to be as annoying as possible in this, just like, hello.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stop talking because I think this is the moment where she's not necessarily scared for her life. She realizes that it's her marriage that's in jeopardy.
Right.
And so she is just trying to get his attention. And I didn't want words to stop coming out of my mouth.
And also, it really shows that on maybe even like a subtextual level, she is not being heard. Her voice is not being heard, you know?
Right, yeah.
And to tell you the truth, I mean, Toros doesn't even understand what's happening until this moment right here, where he's like, I don't even think he clocked that she's on top of him until this moment. He cares more about Yvonne. He cares more about the situation that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this whole entire section plays out for about 28 minutes. And so Drew and I we didn't want it to be the same style the entire time, but right here we are in handheld style. We're in sort of docu, which was nice because it allowed us to, for you guys, even though it was, this was heavily scripted, I, at the last minute, I know I was reordering the dialogue, right? Which you weren't completely prepped for because you had spent weeks,
months. I swear, months
memorizing the way that I originally scripted. And then one day I walked in, I think it was the second day we were shooting the home invasion. And I said, you know what? Things aren't working. There's some hiccups here, some logic issues. I reordered the dialogue. And I remember looking over and seeing the fear on your face. But I think that what it did was that there are moments in which I think you are almost searching for the next line because now that I reordered it. And I think that actually really adds to the scene. And I love that little slip. We actually added a little bit of a sound effect of more crunching glass as you do that little slip because it's so realistic. I love that stuff.
It's a fucking
It's Taurus's most important day of the year. Being a godfather is like a big deal. So preparations take months and stuff like that. So anyway, he left that most important day of the year, came here to solve this issue, and it was important for me to portray him in a way that, of course, people say it's a bad guy, this and that, but I want to make sure he's a responsible person. So he comes in, he doesn't know, right now he doesn't know how to solve the situation. He's searching for it in his head, but he understands that they're children.
You have no fucking idea.
Oh, yeah? When'd you guys meet, huh?
He's not there to break their legs or do anything like that, but personality-wise, Taurus is he's a fixer. So if he needs to, he can get into violence, but this is not the situation where he's considering it. That's why he's kind of here now, kind of trying to understand how to approach this, what to do, to be able to crack this, young lady's mind and get in there and make her do what he wants her to do.
Give me that bullshit. You don't love him.
And obviously just completely
You understand?
discarding her and what she's going through.
Oh, that absolutely doesn't matter to him.
No,
she's like
thinking about the present situation.
To him, she's just a product there to be used to get to what he wants to get to. So,
and perhaps even in his head, he does think, okay, she's hustling this family. In his head, that's what he thinks of her.
His house. Everything Ivan has belongs to his father. You understand? Ivan has nothing.
now, at this point, when Horus realizes that she's a strip dancer, he knows kind of this whole thing that she did an irresponsible move in his head, of course, but still he has to understand how to approach this. Does he, I don't know, take her and torture her, or does he convince her to do something? So this is all playing in his head. He doesn't know what to do.
If you think for a second this is going to be allowed, you're dead wrong. In fact, if you don't help
See, now he's trying
he's just
to
searching. He's doing
manipulate.
anything. He's
Yeah.
making up words essentially.
He's going to use a couple of techniques to see which one works. And
He thinks he's
luckily,
being very smart about the whole situation, but I think she sees right through it. It was like complete, like, what did he just say?
And I'm sure you already have criminal records, so
Also, Europe, he gave me such a consistently subtle performance there. It was really up to me in post-production to figure out how often we would cut to him, because we didn't want to like show our hand by showing his concern too much, or even, or just making him too present, because we didn't want the audience to kind of know.
Take off the ring.
So this is where we decided to have the ring come, and instead of earlier, and then obviously at that point we knew, okay, well, Igor is going to have to clock when and see where that ring goes, because as we know, at the end of the film, he gives it back to her. So obviously he had to like fish through his coat.
shut up! What the fuck?
I haven't mentioned this at all in press or anything, but it is a subtle nod to a film called The Knack and How to Get It, 1965's Palme d'Or winner, directed by Richard Lester.
It was, I don't know, it was funny for me that Sean know Mikey because of film Scream. And it was funny, we didn't have, very close up or some detail, and just try to do this frame because it's funny.
Okay, so yeah, we had to find our crescendo there. And we knew we were going to do a smash cut to Annie silenced, right? We didn't know exactly how to get there, though. We knew that the screaming and then the screaming of the word rape was going to start, getting us to that place. But I remember it was also Yura who said, you know what, I'm going to scream back in her face even louder than she's screaming. Yeah. And I think that was like a cacophony of like, that's what got us there, And so again, thank God for Yura. He that beautiful idea got us to that climax. And we did 3 takes with him. And oh my God, the veins were popping in his forehead.
Yeah.
He went red screaming. He goes, stop screaming.
So now Taurus has a clear direction in his head how to approach this.
And again, this blocking, very specific, very almost like spaghetti Western style, where I wanted to get all of our characters in the same shot together, spread throughout the widescreen. So there you go. Yura sits right there. And now we see all of our characters. The red scarf was inspired by Vampire Lesbos, the Jesus Franco film with Soledad Miranda, and that's why I give them a special thanks at the end of the film.
And it's prominently featured on our Criterion cover, which is also another nod to Soledad Miranda.
Yeah, and the imagery from that movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. $10,000. I mean, in that moment when he says that, it's so insulting to her.
Right.
Like $10,000 is going to take her away from this incredible life that she's just received.
Yeah.
I think a lot about this scene for me was about restraint. Like really trying to be, first of all, she is restrained, and then also emotionally, I think she's trying to keep things together.
And she's trying to figure out what to say or what not to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she's not in any way agreeing to their terms.
Right.
She just wants to talk to Yvonne so that Yvonne can fix the situation. So now she's basically just playing. That's how I see it. She's like, yeah, let's go find him.
Once we
I think at this point she's assuming this can be worked out as soon as we just find Yvonne and figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah, and having like this man point in her face like that is so insulting.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of why she laughs a bit.
There's our butterfly again.
Yeah, we made that shirt the night before. In this scene too, it's like, now she's completely stripped back, having this private moment alone. And so what does she do in this private moment? She throws the towel down. It's like, let's go. Excuse me, I have to get dressed. Can I have some privacy, please? And she puts on this coat, which I think is such an incredible choice that we made for her, because to her, I mean, first of all, that coat is incredibly expensive, but it also signifies wealth to her. Like her wearing that coat, she's like, I made it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of ironic because you really won't see any wealthy people in New York or Los Angeles wearing a coat like that. But, she is, because to her, that's what wealth is. And I love Clara. She's such a beautiful face.
Anything can be fixed with money. Or at least in Toros's head.
Okay, let's go. I need to go to the hospital up there. Oh, you're okay.
There was a real, Karin, you really slammed on the brakes here.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I forgot what it was.
Let's go.
But then because everybody was jostled by you slamming on the brakes, we shot the reverse and made a moment of it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's
Sammy Kwan. Hunched over.
Yep. So we basically said, okay, they're going to have to be reacting to something. Let's make Sam a bag lady. And there was a lot of waiting for trains in this film for timing purposes.
Oh yeah, there's a train that goes by every shot.
Yep. There's a cyclone in the back to sort of establish where we are. And we stay pretty much geographically accurate.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So we had to figure out a way of the car getting towed. And we came up with this idea.
Oh, this cyclone. This shot is just amazing. And it was so cold too, because we're near the beach. I was really grateful to have that giant fur coat. There she is.
Hey, Annie. Hey, have you seen Vanya today? No, why is it?
So originally this was written for a vape shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And this is an iconic candy shop that's actually on Surf Avenue, not on the boardwalk. So this is a geographical cheat, but it was Alex Coco who suggested we use it. And it just, the second he said it, I said, oh my God, I'm such a hack for writing a vape shop. It's so much better as a candy shop. Strip clubs are called candy shops.
Yeah.
They're,
that 50 Cent.
the 50 Cent song, and also the candy is just so visual in there and so colorful. And the second he said that, I thought, oh, I'm going to have gumballs flying everywhere during this scene. I'm so happy we went with it.
And I mean, Annie, I think, up until this point, sort of thinks that these people are her friends or that they would back her. And they kind of instantly turn on her in this moment.
Right. They don't have her back.
No,
They have
no.
Yvonne's back.
Oh yeah.
We can only do this once, right?
Twice.
Maybe we did it twice. We did it twice.
Twice. I was in awe when we trashed the entire thing and then came back in half an hour. Everything was back the same.
Yep. And if you notice, Eager is in the background, picking out
And I just threw the
pieces
phone
of
behind me
popcorn.
too.
Did you
Yeah.
throw that phone?
Yeah, it almost hit Ivy in the head.
Yeah, I just threw it behind me. Okay, you guys, you have to. Maybe you missed it, but
Look at it. He's blowing the glass off of the popcorn and eating it. Here's Billy.
oh, really? You know, I actually went back to this candy shop a handful of months ago, and the owner said that he was still finding pieces of glass.
Oh my God. Now this was like 12 takes.
Yeah.
This took forever because of the throw.
Because of the freaking baseball bat
I mean,
didn't go the
he
right.
threw that
right.
thing like a freaking Olympian, though.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There you go. He got it. But a few times it flew off to the right, flew off to the left.
It landed on the roof.
Yeah. Now we're at the famous
Yeah.
Tatiana Grill. And do you want to talk about Tatiana?
Yeah, Tatiana. Tatiana is a restaurant I went to probably first time in like mid-90s or something. So we kept on going back there doing, dinners, birthday parties, and I'm so happy because this is one of the few restaurants left that still has that old charm of Brighton Beach on the entire neighborhood. And I'm happy we were able to shoot there.
Yeah. We were shooting there during operating hours.
Yeah, and they're just cooking dinner back there. We just threw Vlad in with an apron.
Yeah.
And they were just ignoring us, cooking everybody's dinner. They were busy. We were just filming a movie.
Yeah, so in this next scene, basically only the restaurant owner knows that we're making a film. No one else. All the people are just, in the real life, they're hanging out, having parties, dinners, birthday parties. And, Taurus just crashes it all. And I remember on a second take, people started getting annoyed by him. And, I remember people were even like cursing, like, what the fuck? How many times can you come here? We already told you we haven't seen the kid. Third take, they got even more aggressive. And I remember we went back and Sean said, okay, I think we got it, but let's just do one more for safety. And thankfully, Vache came to Sean. He said, Sean, if you want to do take 4, you got to get ready for a fight because these guys are just going to fight us. There's a table right there to my right. Some aggressive Georgians. I mean, they were also right. They were like, we paid for this dinner and you're just ruining our party.
Also, you can kind of see, but that photo is Mark in a bathtub.
Yeah.
With some girl's feet on his shoulders.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, that's why I love shooting in real places with real people because you get faces that you would never get from central casting.
It was so unbelievably cold. I've never been this cold in my life before shooting this scene.
Yeah. And the reason that you don't see breath is because we're near the water.
Yeah.
We realized that afterwards. We're like, why don't we see our breath? It's freezing.
Yeah.
Well, it has to do with the humidity.
And he has the scarf.
Why the fuck?
And the look on his face too.
So we were basically shooting this in order. We were with the whole crew. We just basically started at Tatiana's and worked our way down back to where the car is parked. We shot this on Steadicam and just allowed the night to come, right?
Yeah.
Trying to catch the twilight.
And I always felt throughout the filming of this movie, Yura behind me. He's always behind me. He's always watching me. Even in between takes, his eyes were always on me. And so I always felt that support and felt like someone's eyes were on me. And I think Annie is a very clearly intuitive person. And so she also felt his eyes.
No! Why, son of a... Hey! This is my car! No!
So our our tow truck guy.
He was great. Yeah.
He is Sebastian Canelli, and he's a New York-based improv comedian, and I found out about him through his Instagram, but he has this podcast called Loud and About Nothing. Hilarious dude. So New York. I reached out to him. I said, I offered him this role. Came in and he killed it. And he actually even improvised that last line of his. Instead of saying fucking Russians, he says, fuck you, Russians. Which makes me laugh.
Yeah, during this scene, Yura was telling me the difference between Russian people fighting and arguing and people in America. It was funny.
Fuck you, Russians! God!
He was like, you're so animated. He was like, Mikey, your forehead and your eyebrows go up and down when you talk. I was like, do Russian
This
girls
turn
do that?
with the tide taking off was one take. I remember, Sean, you told me that. So now you're going to make the turn with one hand, take off the tie with the other. But the problem is we don't have much film left. So we only have one take.
Yeah, and we were timing to the train. We were waiting until the train would come, and then we would say, okay, now go.
But it worked out.
Yeah.
This
was a...
this is in a way a vape shop, isn't it?
It's an internet cafe.
Yeah.
But they're allowed to vape in there.
So you got
and
your
hookah.
vape shop thing
too. Yeah, we got the hookah in there. And that's an Uzbek owned shop. When we were in the internet cafe, we came across those kids who were playing, and we thought it might be really interesting to have Annie go up and talk to them in Russian. So suddenly, Mikey, you had to learn your lines right there and then.
Yeah, and it was stressful for me because I really wanted to be a perfectionist in terms of the Russian, really understand each word I'm saying, for there to be variations in how I say it. And I was like, but, we got it.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff is stolen.
Yeah.
We were out on the street. We're inside here, but we were out on the avenue. Yeah, right here, like at Ocean View Cafe, just shooting through their window, not telling the people inside we were shooting until afterwards. So that's why her reaction is just something I never could have written, where she said, "Oh, maybe he was kidnapped." And then, of course, Karin, your reaction to that is hilarious. Okay, so it's a Sean Baker film, so I need a vomit scene. And
I was so jealous. I really wanted to vomit in this movie.
I was very, very anxious before this because, it's a type of scene you don't want to do like a lot of takes because, like all car and all my clothes were being like covered all that fake vomit. And also I was holding some of it in my mouth, and then we had this pipe coming from my hand, and then when I actually hold it, it was like someone's pushing it, so it's coming more and more. When you see that, it looks actual vomit, and then I should take it and keep it in my mouth. That was pretty disgusting. But the most funny thing was after this, because when I was fully covered with that fake vomit, and I didn't want to get anyone's cars dirty, so I decided to walk because our office was literally like 10 minutes away. And I started walking on Brighton Beach Boulevard, and I've noticed that nobody gives a shit. There was a lot of people going back and forth, and nobody was even paying attention to me. It's like, this is such a normal thing for Coney Island, I think. Someone walking like like this, like with broken nose, fully covered with vomit. And that was the moment I fall in love with New York.
We would just drive up and down Brighton Beach Boulevard because it was actually very well lit. So we would be getting a lot of these dialogue scenes by going up and down the boulevard.
Yeah, it's fucking real, but it's not real.
I love these improvisations between me and Vacha. It was like so much fun. I have friends who watched the film that understand Armenian.
Yeah.
They say we fall on the ground. We can't watch the film because we laugh so hard.
This is our last night of shooting in New York. An 18-hour day, and we had to get in all those missing pieces. That's what normally happens at the end of a shoot, where you're like, okay, well, we owe all of this stuff. So we owe a few more, club shots, or at least the lines outside of a club. And all we did was we had Chris Hill, our wonderful gaffer, just throw some green light on the front of a closed storefront, put all of our extras in a line with our bouncer, and just pull that scene off. It wasn't a real club, but it looks like one.
Yeah. And going into HQ. But before that, you see a couple private moments with Annie, which I think were really important for us to show. Her looking out the window, trying to create a plan in her head, what's happening. I think you can already see a little bit of hope that is slightly lost, but then she'll grab back onto it in a little bit.
Yeah. The tattoo song is something I knew was going to be in this film from very early on, just simply because it is probably the only true crossover song, the pop song that, was both a Eastern and Western hit. Now this diner is right off the BQE. We're back in the club. That's Lindsay Normington, who plays Diamond. And she is hilarious. I love her.
So sad. That marriage must really be in the toilet already. Vanya's here?
She just wipes her pits and goes.
Yep. So Lindsay, actually, she's an actor and dancer. She was part of the first labor movement for strippers at a club in North Hollywood.
Yeah.
And she approached me at an after party of a film screening. I forgot what it was, but just, she made such an impression.
No. What the fuck? Why?
Her persona, her physicality. And so I guess when I started to flesh out Diamond, I don't think I ever thought of anybody but Lindsay for that role.
I love your faces here.
Somehow I got bags under my eyes while we were making this. I remember Sean was like, how do you have bags under your eyes right now? I do love that we're both shoving burgers into our mouth, and they haven't eaten all night. And Yura just kept putting more and more. I think he maybe 5 or 6 burgers in total, and then went to the bathroom, threw up, came back, and ate some more.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, and he had a spit bucket too. He was like, but I need to swallow it.
He consumed a lot, yes. And it was his idea to be shoving all of that in his mouth while, saying this dialogue, and I thought it was brilliant.
Guys, pay attention to their faces when I go the Instagram, TikTok Instagram thing, and then at some point the camera is on their 3 faces. Just see how hilarious it is. It's so funny.
Cheeks.
And look at
this one.
Yeah, the oxy is kicking in there.
Вместо того, чтобы говорить, вон отсюда, подумай, что я тебе говорю. No work ethics. Lazy, stupid.
No, the American flag was actually there. That was at the diner. And I just love it. It was like almost like this Patton moment where it's like you're in front of the American flag, just reprimanding everybody.
I fucking love that
Garnick's
place.
been there before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, coming up, we have the song by Iggy Azalea, Little Sally Walker, and it works so wonderfully in this film, and it allows me to have some intercutting and actually even go into some non-diegetic use of music, which I really like. I rarely do that. All of my music usually is coming from sources within the world of the film. But in this case, I allow it to go from a diegetic moment to a non-diegetic moment. Right here. Mixing it so that you can actually hear the lyrics and it playing more as a score. Oh, and this stuff, that was great to shoot. That was so fun to shoot because Lindsay and Mark were just improvising there and it was just so fun. And now we're at Daddy as Fuck, which is later. And this song works so well. There's something about the way it grinds as the camera pans, and it has a dark quality, which really fits the ominous, I think, mood of this moment.
Where he's in one of these rooms?
Yeah.
I love that she's like, "Hi, Annie."
Yeah.
So cute.
Some diamonds. She's in the cold.
I mean, shooting this scene too, I know we had limited time, and so it kind of added to the anxiety and the pressure and the freneticness of all of it.
Yeah, very manic.
It's the heartbreak of him leaving her. Now she's found him, and there's this panic that she has of trying to say everything at once, trying to convince him to protect her, and I think she's realizing that it's all kind of falling apart.
Especially realizing he's inebriated.
Oh, yeah.
And that
he's wasted.
He can't even, she's very alone in this moment.
It was very important part how to disappear from this reality, how to avoid any, how to, what he can do with this situation already. And there are two options, avoid or try to fight against reality, try to fight against his family. And his decision was to avoid eye contact, avoid real feelings, avoid fighting. And because of it, he was drunk, he was, intoxicated and all this stuff, just to avoid the reality. Yeah, and it was one of the biggest also challenges how to play it, because it's a big distance, it's more than 6 scenes, when he's from drunk person to, person under drugs, to very drunk, very under drugs, and then intoxicated person, and then person who have this headache and all this stuff. And we tried to do it very naturally.
That's okay. This is very, very important, all right?
I don't want to talk about it.
And coming up is our DMX song. That was also something that we knew from very early on. I think it's in the script that they fight to this song. It's just such a strip club song.
Yeah.
You still hear it to this day.
He's being ripped out of her arms as well, and she's continuing the chase.
And this is obviously supposed to be, it's played for comedic effect with just every dancer in the house bottlenecking at this stairwell.
You guys causing a scene.
Russian Annie?
Yeah.
I think I accidentally hit her in the face in that.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, this scene was insane to shoot because our stunt coordinator was awesome. We also had limited time, and he was like, okay, so girls, you kind of throw this punch and then grab each other. She'll grab you here, and then you kind of knock this table over, roll over this. You'll end up over here. How's that sound? And we were like, okay, let's fucking go. And so we quite literally were just scrapping. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was pretty much crying by the end of filming all of those scenes because it was obviously, again, so intense. And then to fight a woman as well, for me, was like horrible. Fun too,
believe you went running like a fucking baby.
her life is being ripped away from her, and she just had this fight in her workplace. It was humiliating, heartbreaking.
What's going on right now, Vanya?
Get off me, man.
Fucking wasted. I need to talk to him when he's fucking sober. I can't talk to him like this.
Talking is done.
Talking is not done. Of course he's gonna do anything you say. He's fucking plastered.
Talking is done. Now we're gonna
No,
get
this
this thing
wasn't
for
fucking
3
real.
hours. Yes, it was.
And this is probably this is the roughest section of the film, but rightfully so. It's supposed to be gritty. It's supposed to be down and dirty. And the way we shot it really was that way as well.
Yeah.
This is one of the few times in the film that Drew is actually pulling his own focus.
Everything. I mean,
And
how many times? Huh? How many times?
very chaotic.
When you do this to me,
Also, this take was,
it makes
I remember right before we shot this particular take where you can kind of see her eyes welling up. They were like, okay, this is the last one, and
That
then it's a
actually may
wrap
have
for
been-
Yura.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's a wrap for Yura. No, not Yura leaving. And so it was kind of perfect to have that in that moment.
We spent all our time together in New York with Mikey, all this time during shooting. I don't know. It's like a brother and sister, I feel, when you're speaking a lot about everything, about work and about your dreams, just thinking about philosophy of life, and it's not work, it's not job, it's just part of my life. Mikey is already part of this life too.
This is Tom Trubnikov, who is a good friend of mine and is actually from Coney Island and is Russian-American, knows Russian. He was in my first film as well. He's in 4-letter words.
Я Михаил Шарнов, адвокат твоего отца. Ты меня помнишь?
Дядя Майкл, не помнишь?
Помню.
I love his comic timing. Oh, I love your delivery there, Mikey. And also you're just before you deliver the way, what you do with your eyes there, like, come on, say it. Because obviously Annie thinks that she's going to be called a
Hooker.
A hooker or a prostitute or something, some derogatory sex worker term yet again.
Annie's thinking, the wheels are turning. She's like, maybe I can save this in some way. She's a fighter. She's gonna fight.
There's Mike Sergio,
Oh, here we are. This was the funniest scene for.
who also played a judge at
Just a
Prince
film.
of Broadway. This scene was so fun to shoot, I have to say, because we went more broad in the comedy here than we have any other place in the film. And I remember us being all on the same page in terms of we got into this room and suddenly I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but it just felt like we understood that we could go to almost sitcom levels of comedy here and humor, even if it's a little unrealistic, because the film called for it at this point. It needed a comic relief. It needed a breather and allow you guys to really be just genuinely funny. And all of you guys were rocking this.
Intuitively, we all knew how far we could push it, and I think we were having so much fun with it. There was no conversation of like, let's go bigger this time. We just slowly, progressively, every time we shot the scene, it just kind of got bigger and broader and louder and crazier. And it was so fun. And there's a moment where Igor is kind of chuckling at Annie, and I really like that shot of Yura.
This scene was very organic and funny. And I remember you guys behind the camera, you were cracking up so much.
Yes. They say that if you're laughing too hard on set, it's not funny in the edit. Well, that's not true with this, with this scene.
Thank God.
There was even a take where Yura throws the intoxicated mark over his shoulder and marches out of the courtroom. We thought, okay, that might be a little too much.
He grabs onto the
the zoom into his hands.
This was interesting. I remember that we kind of didn't know what to do down the stairs. And then I did one take of this kind of improv did to you, Sean, and you said, okay, that works great. Let's go with that. And of course, it's all scripted, but exactly the blocking and stuff was...
Yeah. And again, it's all the blame game. Nobody can take blame. Nobody can take responsibility.
And he gets a ticket, which is funny. And then this is also a moment where I was like, okay, I think there needs to be a different approach. And so I'm leaning over Igor, grabbing his face, being softer, kissing him. And I remember during filming that, Yura was poking me in the stomach.
Oh, really?
And like grabbing my undershirt and like pulling it.
Why?
And like tickling me. I don't know why.
Well, you certainly can't tell.
Okay.
We use doors, whether they're car doors or doors mansion or the doors inside the club. We use slamming of doors to cut a lot in this film.
And this is a decision. Does she get in the car or does she not? And she makes the decision to get back in the car.
It's crazy story. I accidentally met Yura Borisov in Berlin. I was in Berlinale and he was in Berlin to get his visa to go in America to meet Han, to talk about Anora. And it was first time when I met Yura Borisov. It's my favorite Russian actor and he's huge. He's like Brad Pitt and it's impossible to meet him, in Moscow or in St. Petersburg. I was in Berlinale with my first movie, The Land of Sasha, and I accidentally met him and he just said, "Oh, I watched your movie, man. You are great. You are amazing and have a nice, have a nice life, have a nice career. Wish you all the best." And then he met Sean and Sean asked about some guy, who will play Ivan. And he said, "Maybe you will not believe me, but just 2 days ago in Berlin, accidentally, I met Mark Edelstein. And I think he can be." And after 1.5 years, all this time, Sean developed script, Sean developed production, because Sean and Samantha and Alex Coco are our producers. It's the indie movie. Yeah, and he developed all the stuff that connect with Anora. And only 1.5 years, I received sites to do videotape, and I did.
There's a private airport in Farmingdale, New York, called Zen Flights, and it is realistic that in 2019, before the war, that an international flight could come into this airport.
This shot is so beautiful.
We were thinking Darth Vader. We wanted to introduce her in the most, impactful and ominous way, and we thought, oh, she's the real nemesis. We thought Diamond was the nemesis, but no, now we're bringing the real nemesis to the table. And that was a shot that was designed very early on. I always imagined a low angle shot of her, and tracking with her as she approaches. Here's Alexei Serbakov.
Yeah, iconic Russian actor, Alexei.
Yeah, this scene is, there's so much behind this scene. It was, that morning he came, and he was complaining. He was there like 6 a.m. He was like, "Oh, when are we shooting my scene? When are we shooting my scene?" He kept on complaining. So it's like 12 p.m. Finally, they come and say, "It's you and Alexei's turn." And then he gets up, and then somebody taps on my shoulder. He turned around and goes, "Can we take a second test of your COVID test?"
Yeah.
And,
And you were positive.
And I was positive. And then
thank God we shot enough shots with you where we were able to complete the airport stuff.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, and this scene is oh, sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, go ahead.
This scene is kind of sad as well, because I think there's a shred of hope when she comes in. You know, she's smiling, looking at Yvonne's mother, and she completely disregards Annie. And I think maybe she's thinking, well, maybe I'll have a woman-to-woman conversation with her, and he just shoots her down.
Yeah, Daria Ekamasova plays Galina, and I just love the strength she brings to this character, the intensity.
And we will not accept it, okay?
Everybody always throwing responsibility onto everybody else. That's what they do in this movie. And then she's almost addressing, in a weird way, she's looking out onto the audience. You're all idiots. I didn't mean that as a slam to the audience, but it does come across as her reprimanding everybody.
Vanya, we fucking talk.
No, go back to the plane.
And this is a scene too. Annie's just being completely dragged around, and she's trying to get a hold of Yvonne. She's grabbing his face. This is the time where she's kind of being rough with him.
Vanya, be a fucking man and talk to me.
And that's an important line, obviously.
And because he's not a man.
Right.
Yeah, this scene is so heartbreaking.
It was really hard to play this scene when you see Mikey's eyes, and they are full of love and full of soul. And on the background, you can see also Igor's eyes, and they are also full of soul and some kindness. And you can play opposite thing. You have to play opposite thing. Yeah, and it's just a evil. It's a person without love inside him, killed love inside him.
Of course. Are you stupid?
He says, "Are you stupid?" And I think it's like, it's just absolute heartbreak. And you see Igor in the background watching all of this, and she's heartbroken, humiliated.
Yeah, that's the line that does it for her. She knows.
Making my last trip to America so far.
And then we wanted to bring it back to Annie in this moment, in the way that she tilts her head and says,
"Oh yeah,"
and delivers this line the way that she would be almost saying that to one of the clients at the club.
Yeah, like, "Oh, you had
fun tonight."
I think it's obviously it's a protection line for her. You know, she's trying to take some of that power back in that moment because she knows that she has none.
Now, when I saw this film at Cannes, it was the first time I was watching it with an audience, because we don't do test screenings. I'm against them. But it was very interesting in this moment, because this line right here, this moment where she is, "I didn't sign a prenup, so I'm going to be suing Yvonne. I'm going to be suing you." It got a big cheer in the audience. Everyone cheered at Cannes. And I thought, okay, this is wonderful, because that means they're truly invested and they're rooting for her. And yet at the same time, I also knew, oh, they're about to be very disappointed in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, in this moment, Annie's like, "Well, you guys fucked me, so I'm going to fuck you."
Yep.
Do that, and you'll lose everything.
And I think Annie is, well, I know she's smart enough to know that the threat that Galina whispers in her ear is a real threat.
Oh, yeah.
They have the power to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They have the power to ruin her life and to ruin her friends and family's lives. And Daria does a beautiful little, she improvised this. Well, I guess not improvised. She gave that little wink there, which she did not do it during the rehearsals. She did it during the take. And, I love it. This scene was a little longer in the screenplay.
Mm.
It was a back and forth, right? Between Annie and Igor.
Yeah. One of my favorite written scenes.
Yeah, but it just didn't seem appropriate.
It just didn't, no.
He's trying to distract her from the current situation just by being, to be nice, to help her out. He's trying to distract her. And he says something along the lines of like, do you want to Netflix and chill? Because there's a television in the back of the plane.
Yeah.
And Annie calls him out, for macking on him. Like, how dare you mac on me during this right now, right here?
And doesn't he ask what her favorite color is too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also was just like, it was just a little extraneous. It wasn't necessary.
Не может. А про какую тогда свободу мы разговариваем, что вы дали мне свободу, если...
This moment is so funny. It's like such the wrong moment to do this.
Я прошу прощения, просто хотел воспользоваться этим моментом.
And it also really shows that Toros doesn't know what the hell he's doing either. I mean, he just reprimanded Garnick for doing exactly that and then does it seconds later.
And Torres thought that Garnick opened up a crack so he can get in there.
I love the way you're...
Finish up what Garnick started, but it didn't work.
And Mark asked me here, he's like, I would like to get to a place where he produces tears. And on that third take, he said, here I go. And he delivered this amazing moment that shows that he's just truly a child who has in many ways hurt himself.
And
he's just throwing her under the bus here.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so hurtful. And I think in this moment, she's just like, well, fuck this guy.
He calls her an escort.
Yeah.
And essentially does exactly what all the other men in the movie did to her leading up to this.
Mm-hmm. You're a pathetic motherfucker.
What?
Fucking pathetic? You're a pathetic motherfucker.
Блядь, ну...
Igor pours them some vodka. He knows that she needs a drink, and he needs one too.
Though he cut out his drink.
Yeah.
For running time. I was thinking about going out on Annie here, but there was a nice moment where during one of the takes, I rested on your face, Karin, as you closed your eyes. And I thought, you know what? Let's go out on Toros there, because that's sort of the end of Toros' story. He got her on the plane. They're heading to Vegas. He knows this annulment's going to happen. His job is over and he can finally rest. So we brought almost everybody to Vegas just for that one shot.
Yeah.
I'm just going to need some signatures. If I could just...
Okay, Mickey O'Hagan,
Yep, Mickey.
who you may know as Dinah from Tangerine.
One of my favorite performances in Tangerine.
And she's so funny.
By the
I
way,
let her go to town.
This shot we shot in the airport.
Yes, this was cheated. This was New York for Vegas.
Sorry, I'm gonna mispronounce your name.
I hate to break the fourth wall because I think we pulled it off so well, but and Stephen Phelps designed this room. It was a last minute decision. Alexis couldn't come with us to Vegas, and for many other reasons, we had to shoot this scene in New York at that airport in one of the back rooms. And so Stephen Phelps, our production designer, painted the walls and made it feel like Vegas. I think it works.
And there's this moment before Annie signs the paperwork. She looks at Yvonne, kind of like this one last look. I think she knows that it's hopeless, but they look at each other and he puts his sunglasses on and disregards her. She signs the papers.
And that's obviously a big moment because Igor doing that in front of the parents and asking for Yvonne to apologize could probably put him in a position in which he would never be hired again, right? I mean, like, it's pretty bold and pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I think at this point he
Pretty
knows
risky.
it's the end of him getting hired by this family, but I think he's in love. He can't be stopped.
Because you
so much.
I love Alexi's reaction. We didn't know he was going to do this, and
Yeah.
he just starts laughing.
Yeah. He pitched it to me and I was like, yeah, let's, of course. Let's do it. And then we had to shoot all of our singles. And for, just for, you don't want overlapping. Sometimes I'm okay with overlapping dialogue, but knowing this scene in which everybody needed their moment so clearly defined, I had to do the traditional coverage in which each actor had their moment. And so we had to do the entire take of the entire scene in which everybody was essentially silent except for Alexei, just allowing him to laugh. And it was amazing the way that he could just, for 2 minutes, just play the scene on his own and deliver these amazing laughs that really finished this moment for us.
And Annie takes the coat off.
Yeah.
And which is this sort of prized possession that she had, and that was given to her. She just can't bear to wear it, even though it's probably $40,000 or right? Maybe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Takes it, grabs it, and I just threw it on Mark's head, and you were like, "Oh, I love that. You have to keep throwing it on his head."
The baby was perfect.
I know, you were like
perfect.
let's keep shooting until the baby starts crying.
But the baby just seemed to just crying exactly on cue.
Sean, you always have good luck with babies in your films. Remember the baby in Tangerine, the baby in Prince of Broadway? They were all so perfect.
I love the way you look up here. I decided to use that as our cut point because you look up to the light. Boom. Now, okay, so we originally, this would have been such a mistake. I thought the scene was going to be back to the dab rig.
And we tried
Number
to
one,
do
it would have
was
looked
just
ridiculous.
too difficult.
And two, it was so distracting because you guys couldn't smoke properly without coughing. And it was killing this whole scene. So after I think one take, we decided let's go to a blunt.
It's an interesting moment as well for them to be sharing a blunt after all that's happened.
Yes.
And he says that it is his birthday yesterday.
Yeah, and that was
turned
yours idea.
Yeah.
And 30 is a very important year, right, in the Russian culture.
Yes.
And you're never supposed to spend it alone, right? That's from what I've heard. And so I think that makes it even more poignant,
Yeah, I really like this scene because they're addressing each other in a way that they hadn't before, and Annie is actually looking at him, and there is some eye contact, which I think she'd been avoiding for a long time. But that's also my favorite line in the film, where she calls him a hunchback weirdo. So funny.
I feel Sean like a very young boy who play some very interesting game, and I could be another young boy and play in the same game too. You don't know what is this game, but of course but it's changing every time, and everybody very open for this, and Sean is center of this, and he's very, very open. He never say that you have to do this and this, or I write on script this lines and you have to use this. but he asking, what do you think if we do this? Is it good or not? What do you feel? And we start to thinking about this. We start to trying something together, and for understand is it a good way or no? Because nobody knows.
I'm not interested in comedy.
For me, it's very unique when you're so open and so open for changing of everything, absolutely everything, not only for scenes or lines, but for all conception of everything.
You're not part of this film.
He had her back the whole time. That's why I think this movie has a happy ending, man. Who wouldn't want to end up with a guy like that?
It's all, everyone's going to have their own interpretation and their own,
Yeah.
everyone's going to have their own thoughts on it.
Well, clearly Karin is a romantic.
Yes.
I think in another world, if Toros got a little bit more violent with Annie, I think he wouldn't let Toros to go. Because let's say if he couldn't find, for whatever reason.
My legs and arms were covered in bruises.
Yeah. For the most part, we stick word for word to the script, except for that, your mention of the bruises, because it was actually, you were covered with bruises. So we worked it into the dialogue.
Yeah.
So that was brought to the table.
Crazy too. It's not funny, yeah.
And then, the follow up to that moment where he's like, you're too crazy. And then attempts a joke there and then says it's not funny. That was improvised by Yura. But essentially everything else is very, we stick to the script. Yura is such an amazing actor and such a beautiful human being. But just, just being present and there for also his fellow actors.
He's so present. One of the most honest actors I've ever worked with. No doubt.
And really caring about the film as a whole, not just his character and his character arc, but the film as a whole. He was actually, because his character is called a Gopnik in the film, he wanted to have that conversation with me early on. He's like, but am I a Gopnik? I don't think I'm actually a Gopnik. And I'm like, no, I don't think so either, but you're definitely seen as one. And a lot of one of the themes that we're covering in this film, that we're focusing on this film, is the way that people are perceived and stereotypes, and the way that people are perhaps seen as something they're not. And so I thought that was really interesting, that he doesn't perceive his character as a Gopnik. And a Gopnik, by the way, is, how would you define that?
Gopnik is like a hooligan, like a guy from a hood that spends all his time outside, and kind of he's a bully as well. He's,
sort of the Russian equivalent to a football hooligan. That's how I've been told. What I've been told. The television is supposedly playing a weather report about the upcoming snowstorm. But so we had to create all of that stuff. We had to create all of those, the sounds coming from the television, which also included some commercials. Those we had to create. Lots of our friends doing cameos there. Mm. And obviously it was very calculated that it would be red to red. Stephen Phelps really understood what I was going for in terms of color in this film. Unlike my last few films, I knew that it wasn't going to be a rainbow, multicolored color palette, just simply because we were shooting in New York in the winter. So it was going to probably be gray skies and not provide that, that those bright colors. So instead, we wanted to focus on just red and blue. And that can be left up for interpretation of why. I mean, obviously, red means a lot and can be symbolize a lot of different things. But Stephen was wonderful about finding props that he could be placed in almost every shot in which a red or blue would pop, and you can see it right there. Now that's all practical, guys. That is all practical. Mm-hmm. And that's fake. That wasn't real snow, but we had our 2 snow machines out there and we were basically stealing that shot. And Stephen did an amazing job with that.
I suggested to John that Igor could steal this ring of from Boris, and it was like a proposal for, but not formally, but finally, like second proposal in the film with this same ring, but with another guy and like another way of life, version of life. I mean. And Sean said that, yeah, let's try. Every time he did like, he stopped for a while and say, hold on. Yeah, we can do it. And it was every day, like every hour. But sometimes he answered that, no, it's not, no. But I'm very happy that we have this stuff with the ring.
This scene, I mean, I think there's a moment kind of here where she makes a decision. But this entire film, this entire couple of days where she's been put through so much, she's been holding in all of her emotions. And I think as an audience member, you're thinking, when is she going to break? Like, is she ever going to? And this scene is so unexpected.
Look at his eyes. It's all love. It just says LOVE. Oh my God.
I can talk about the making of this scene. I don't like to talk too much about textually or subtextually, just simply because the way it was designed was to be left up for interpretation and for audiences to have different reads on their motivations and the reasoning behind Annie's actions there. But I will talk about the making of it. It was extremely stressful. To break the fourth wall, I'm behind them. I'm in the back seat with a monitor. So I'm literally just right off frame there, out of frame. And it took about 3 days to shoot this because of different just logistics, we were shooting this shot when suddenly the sun started crawling up the wall of the building across the street, and we had to shoot the next afternoon, and then it was permitting and everything. But I wanted this scene to be perfect. And this was very much like the way I scripted it, the way that the snow would build up on this, on the windows.
Yeah. And there was a moment while we were talking where I think we decided it would be more powerful without any dialogue, because they say so much to each other without any words in this moment. And, I think also remember we had talked about this scene at length, Sean, you and me, and sort of what our hopes were for it, how we felt about the scene. And I was like, I think he should try to kiss her. And I think that would be the moment where she sort of explodes with emotion. And you were like, yeah, you know what? I think that really works. And I think it did for this scene.
Yep, that's breaking point. We also had some dialogue that existed in the original screenplay between you two after you get on top of him. And yeah, we decided during the rehearsal that they were already communicating non-verbally. There was no reason for a little bit of petty dialogue there. So we cut it, and it's I think it's so much more beautiful and profound that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I just have to thank you guys for this, and thank my crew, because this is exactly how I envisioned this last scene here. It really is. Knowing also that there was going to be no music, that our soundtrack was essentially just going to be after, your crying dies down, just the sound of the windshield wipers. And they're right there is here we go. There's your single tear right there. Pretty. I remember seeing it from the back seat and being in awe. Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah, I love
Thanks
this
for
film
listening,
so
guys.
much. Yeah, this film's so special to me. I find that audience members are always completely silent after that last scene.
Yeah.
I can watch that ending forever, man. It's so good.
Thanks, Karin.
To do a Q&A after this film is very difficult because I want the audience to, to be absorbing the end, and suddenly, sometimes it can be quite jarring. The ending is designed so that the audience is sort of sitting in silence.
Also, it's like, gosh, looking at these credits, so many people that went into the making of our film and how passionate everybody was about this movie and the story we were telling. It's special.
Yes. Everybody brought their A game. It was an incredible cast and crew for me because everybody seemed to be, number one, on the same page, enthusiastic. There was no toxicity. It just seemed like people were having a good time making this movie.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want it to end. I was heartbroken when it ended. And, this movie changed my life in lots of ways.
It most definitely changed mine. Winning the Palme d'Or was a dream come true. The dream come true. And also, I think, in many ways, this film is sort of a culmination of everything that we've been working towards, Karin, you and I, over the last, 20 years.
100%. 100%.
Like a present of God, it's very, very a lot of present.
Yeah, have a nice day, Basin.